Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. You see, I'm having a little bit of green screen problems here, but we're gonna work through it. My name is Yourself. You are at the All Facts podcast. Today's podcast is my number ninth podcast. I have number 8 up here, but it's number 9. It's this third part of the Changeling. Is your wife a witch? Is your husband a witch? Can we identify what witches are? The Changeling deals with witchcraft in the modern day. It deals with Apollo, the main character, who is the sun god, and he's dealing with his wife Emma and his child. And tragically, Emma ends up killing their child because she believes the child is a demon and not her child. Went through the last 2 parts, and I barely reacted to the video. I will react to this video, and I'll react to it without the sound, or maybe I'll do it with the sound just to see what is going to happen. Like I said, I'm not sure about what the guidelines of YouTube is, but I guess we'll find out. I guess I'll stop it periodically and react on it that way. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Cova Self Skin Products. Our premier line is the line that you see here. It is self-royalty and all over body oil. It has geranium, patchouli, French lavender, that's rose geranium, dark patchouli, French lavender, and neem oil. It also has Egyptian frankincense. It has the carrier oils of jojoba, hemp seed, and cold pressed olive oil. It doesn't go on oily at all. It absorbs right into your skin based on the jojoba and hemp seed. The neem oil is antifungal, antibacterial. It's great for the feet. It prevents feet fungus and feet athlete's foot. It moisturizes the skin. It holds in the hydration. It'll totally replace your deodorant and your lotion. It's a great product, and if you have any interest in this products, please leave a comment down below. And the Cash App is definitely working at $Tahuti. You can leave your donations there too. It will really help my channel. It'll help me to finance the channel so I can bring you out better content. But today's podcast is, like I said, about the Changeling, and I will react on that right now.
If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know Apple TV Plus has been popping off with some excellent mystery shows from Severance to Silo. And today we have a new contender, The Changeling. And in this video, we'll be looking at the biggest mysteries for episodes 1 to 3. I have not read the book this show is based off, so there will be no book spoilers. But
the book looks like it's pretty good. I would like to go and read that book by this author, so I can really get into what's exactly happening.
For those of you who have, feel free to laugh along at all my incorrect theories. As always, I've left timestamps below to all the topics I'll be covering.
You heard him. He said incorrect theories. I agree totally.
Now let's get into it. The events of The Changeling seem somehow tied to Norway. The very first scene of episode 1 tells of a Norwegian ship making the impossible crossing to America in 1825. On board are 52 men seeking freedom from religious persecution.
Freedom from religious persecution. I wonder what kind of religion they were into. That could go a lot of different ways. Were they into witchcraft, and that's the reason why the Leviathan was saving them? What were they into? What persecution were they into? And why was this Leviathan or this sea monster or whatever they want to call it? I forgot what they call it in Japanese. Why did they want to save him so bad?
I can't help but think that one of these men may be related to either Apollo or Emma. The narrator, who's voiced by the actual book's author, Victor Laval, states that the only way these ships survived was with help. And if you look real close, you can almost see what looks to be a supernatural entity guiding the ship through these troubled waters.
When I first watched this, I didn't see that. I didn't see that until I actually watched this reaction video. It's funny to me.
Waters. This same supernatural entity can also be seen approaching Manhattan at the end of episode 2. There's also the mention of a Norwegian photographer that Emma had a fling with while traveling to South America.
This person that she had a fling with, they didn't let on that she was having any type of relationship with him or anything. She was just basically riding on the back of his motorcycle, and she took a nude picture without him being in it. To me, it was a little bit funny because he said he had to pee, and for them to be out there alone somewhere, I think that suggested that they had some type of a fling. But no, they didn't say that they had any type of relationship, but I guess it's insinuated.
Michelle, Emma's friend, mentions to Apollo that this photographer has a nude photograph of her, and it was sold to a gallery owner who continues to display it to this day. I wouldn't be surprised if Apollo goes searching for this photographer, and if he happens to live in New York. After all, Manhattan is a mecca for art galleries. We also have Father Hagen, Hagen being a surname of Norwegian and Dutch origin.
Hagen being a surname of Norwegian and Dutch. That seems kind of funny to me. He's from Norway also. So, that brings back into the Norway thing. And I'm still not really sure about what Norway has to do with this whole thing. They bring Norway up a lot in this 1800s or whatever. They bring that up a lot, and I still haven't put those things together. I always stop it at this part right here, because this scene right here shows a whole lot, with the baby crying, with her not tending to the baby, with the apartment being totally disheveled. She's not cleaning up after the baby. She is not basically doing what she needs to do as a mother. And I think that takes away from Apollo's masculinity. There again, like I said, witchcraft is, witchcraft when the feminine aspect rises up so much where it actually drains the male aspect from you. I know I've actually lived that. And you're trying so much to be diplomatic, or I don't know if I'm using the right words, but you're trying to be fair in the relationship. And I don't believe that women look at the relationship as 50-50. I think the 50-50 thing is something that men do. I just believe that. And you try to be 50-50 and you try to keep things on an even keel, but I believe that the woman wants for you to lead. You should not be taking care of the baby. You should not be cleaning the house. You should not be doing all of these other things. It should be someone helping you do these things, and so that you can focus on what you do best, is being a provider, because you need to be the one out there providing. I think they showed in the movie where his mom, Lillian Kagwa, she was out trying to do the providing, and she ended up in all type of sexual problems with men, because when you're out there in the world, you're dealing with power. and sex is power. A male feels like if he can have you sexually, then he can have you in any other type of way he wants. It's his way of establishing dominance on you. And when a woman is in the marketplace, when she's in the workplace, I want to say, she's also in the sexual marketplace. She's in the sexual marketplace just because she's a woman. And this is the way of the world. So if she is 50-50 on all of the bills, and that must mean she is in the, she must be in the workplace. If she's in the workplace, then she's in the sexual marketplace. All of these things put a strain on the traditional relationship. And in turn, that puts a strain on the child. So I think that this picture right here shows a lot about her being a witch, and her being the kind of witch that doesn't actually practice. Her being, I can't remember the name of the witch, a charismatic witch. Charismatic witch is just a person that uses domination and intimidation and manipulation to bring forth the things they want. Emma, she wanted to find herself in Panama. She wanted to go and find this witch. She wanted to do these things on her own. And now that she has the baby, the baby is basically cramping her style. When she's with the baby, she's not with herself. This is witchcraft in a nutshell. This is the charismatic witchcraft that I was talking about.
Emma wants to get her child Brian baptized by him, and Apollo will attend these support groups where Hagen is in attendance. I'm not exactly sure what the Norway connection is as of yet, but there are far too many connections for this to be a coincidence.
Yeah, I agree. I can't figure out what the Norway connection is yet either. And, that's why I said I would like to read the book. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm sure, like he said, it comes together somehow. Nothing in here is a coincidence.
In episode 1, we learn that Apollo is named after Apollo Creed from the movie Rocky. In Roman and Greek mythology, Apollo is a god, something Apollo himself often refers to himself as.
I am the god Apollo.
With the show leaning heavily into fairy tales and mythology, this is a conscious choice on the part of the writers. Since Apollo's father is no longer in the picture, Apollo took the last name Kagwa, his mother's maiden name. Lily.
Another thing. Now she would be a Pentecostal witch. The third type of witch. She is a Christian. She came over here. She was the one that said that she wanted Apollo to baptize his child, which he wasn't really wanting to do. I don't know whether that's because he didn't believe in baptism, he wasn't a Christian or whatever it was, but he wasn't moved to that. And Emma was moved by her mother-in-law. She was moved by Lillian when Lillian said that he needed to be baptized in order to be saved from these evil forces that are in the world. So she wanted to baptize the child, but Apollo got upset because she didn't say anything to him about it. She was going to do it on her own, and he didn't. There again, that was in his, the way he was looking at it. It was demasculating him, and it was taking away his leadership. He felt, and I felt like she should have brought that across him first. That's his child too. But she was supposed to be a Christian, but yet and still, she was doing things that weren't Christian. She was doing things her own way. She was doing things that caused Apollo to have abandonment issues. She lied to him about his father leaving him. She lied to her, to Apollo's father about that actually being his child. She was married prior to marrying Apollo's father, Brian. and they showed the marriage certificate. She led a life that was promiscuous sexually, but yet and still she was supposedly a Christian. This is what is called the charismatic witch. So, we got different kinds of witchcraft, and I think these types of witchcraft are very prevalent in this world, and I think that's what's causing such a demonic hold on this country. Let's keep it moving from here.
And Apollo's mother came to America from Uganda, and there just so happens to be a famous Apollo Kagwa from, you guessed it, Uganda. He was an influential political leader and intellectual. I should also note that in Greek mythology, Apollo had a twin brother named Artemis. Knowing how many secrets his mother had and the mystery surrounding his father, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a twin brother who may or may not.
It wasn't a twin brother either. It was a twin sister. I don't know where he got that wrong, but that was his sister. She is the moon goddess, and he is the moon. He got that one wrong, but it's okay.
Not have been raised by the father. Another myth comes from the name of this restaurant, Umibozu. In Japanese folklore, the Umibozu is a sea spirit who turns the waters tumultuous and attacks.
The Umibozu is also the Leviathan. That is the Leviathan. The Leviathan spirit is aroused when witchcraft is being used, witchcraft or sorcery. It is the Leviathan spirit that devours you. Leviathan is one of the archdemons of hell. Has legions of other demons under them. Demons of fear, demons of doubt, demons of confusion, the wrath demons, all type of demons are under Leviathan, and it is a sea demon. Leviathan is also a serpent demon, a python, a demon that chokes the life out of you. It suffocates you. It is a suffocating demon. It's a very powerful demon, and it is definitely a sea demon, a demon from the sea. So, the Leviathan demon is very, very dangerous, and I think that's real prevalent in our world right now. I think it's prevalent in our families.
Ships. I can't help but think of that supernatural entity that was seen by the Norwegians. Could a deal have been made with this creature and the sailors to ensure their survival, one which curses their descendants to this day? One thing I found really odd was the sheer amount of missing children posters that appear in New York, not just in present day, but also in the past. We see multiple posters on lampposts and even on milk cartons. Something or someone is taking these children, and if you ask me, this has something to do with the wise ones.
This was crazy to me. This part of the movie, that there would be people that would actually assist these witches in actually killing their children, and they tried to make it seem like the child was missing or went missing, but the child was actually dead, because when the person that was cleaning up, the janitor or whatever, when he came into Apollo's apartment after Apollo had came back from jail, he didn't know that it was Apollo that was in there. He thought it was a squatter. And when he found out it was Apollo, he told him, what happened after Apollo went to jail. He told him that he had, that it was a smell in the apartment that the other tenants were complaining about. He went up there to find out what the smell was, to investigate that whole thing, and found Apollo there, which he thought was dead. He thought Apollo was dead in the apartment. He'd seen his whole face smashed open and bleeding. Apollo was he was locked to the radiator with a bike lock around his neck and chains and things on him. And these wise ones were the ones that gave it a black bike lock and the chains, and maybe gave her the idea of poisoning Apollo in his oatmeal with the sleeping pills. And maybe she got that whole thing. Maybe they told her that, you know, that she must kill her baby because her baby was a demon or whatever it was. But the Jenner explained that he actually found the baby in the crib dead. So the baby was actually dead, whether it was you know, a demon or whatever. The baby was actually dead. She murdered the baby. Then they go on, and this is the reason why I didn't really want to react to the fourth part of the video and the fifth part and the sixth part, because it didn't really make any sense to me, because they were basically looking for a baby that was already dead. It was a feminist society that was in the thing. You met Cal, who was a white female, and you know, she had a bunch of other females that were raising their children by herself, and she was propagating this whole thing. But I guess they were all witches, I guess. And I guess this thing was you know, I don't know, it was just weird. But the bottom line is the woman killed her child, which was crazy to me. Let's move on,
which I'll get more into near the end of the video. Throughout his whole life, Apollo was told that his father abandoned him, but in the third episode, it's revealed that it was his mother who pushed him away and wanted a divorce. In fact,
again, like I said, charismatic, you know, she's a Pentecostal witch. You know, she's doing everything for her own reasons, but that justifies her from going against, you know, following God's will and actually reading the Bible and finding out what she's supposed to be doing, praying and having a relationship with God where he actually tells you what to do. No, she chooses to do what she wants to do, and because of that, she's doing Satan's will, and everybody falls because of it.
His father would come in secret and visit him as a child every Saturday while Lillian had to work, until she found out about it and put an end to that. It wasn't until Apollo's 12th birthday that he'd leave a box marked Improbablia, a Latin.
Improbablia, that's in Latin. It means improbable, and like they're gonna say, is it one thing is improbable is that, you know, his Apollo's life of the things that he did, it was a lot of improbability that happened in his life. It was improbable that he find the postcard of Aleister Crowley about the sodomites and everything, and he got $10,000 for it. It was To Kill a Mockingbird. He found a signed copy of that and was able to sell that to an unknown person that came across and actually bought the book for cash money. All of these things were improbable, and there was a lot of other things that were improbable in his life. So in I believe the contents of the box were improbable. It was improbable that he Brian, the white man, was his actual father. That was improbable. And I thought that was telling. But another thing that was crazy to me, and it was just crazy to me about these decisions that women make, is she ran a suitable father away. So, she ran him away and then struggled financially. She struggled by herself and everything else. Why not just stay with this man? If the man wanted to stay, why not allow him to take care of his child? Why put yourself in that situation? She was actually leaving this little boy at 5 years old. I think he was younger than 5 because he wasn't going to school. She was leaving him by himself in the house while she went to work for 8 hours and did whatever else she was doing with her boss, because it was definitely being led on that the boss was having sex with her for money, or not even for money, maybe just to keep the job. I mean, it was why would she make that decision? Why would she make the decision to leave this boy by herself? And just like he let his father in, he could have let some stranger in and do whatever they wanted. And how did he know the father wasn't molesting the child or doing whatever? She just totally left this this young man alone by himself. Young man now, but he was a baby then. And it just didn't make any sense to me. It did not make any sense to me. Just the decisions that, people make.
And word meaning improbable. Improbably is also the name of Apollo's book-selling business, which can be seen on his business card. And honestly, his job is very improbable. Imagine finding a postcard written by the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley. I don't know if everybody here knows who Aleister Crowley was, but you need to do your research on Aleister Crowley. I did a lot of research on this man, who was a very wicked man. He died not tragically. He died terribly. I would say tragic, but he deserved everything he got. He was he did things to children that were terrible. Because of YouTube, I can't get into everything that he says, but let's just read this. Some men are born sodomites. Some achieve sodomy, and some have sodomy thrust upon them. Thinking of you both, Aleister Crowley. Like, who writes stuff like that? This is the type of man that he was, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they put him in the book. He was the writer of the Book of the Law, which is one of the high satanic books, and he ushered in the age of Aquarius. So, Aleister Crowley, do your research on the man.
Then a few months later, a signed copy of To Kill a Mockingbird with a personal message to Truman Capote. This is truly improbable, but let's examine the contents of this box and see if there are any clues. First, we have a photo of Lillian. Kind of looks like a modeling picture, perhaps taken while she was working at the modeling agency. And this piece of paper is really hard to make out, but it could be a marriage certificate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Marriage certificate. Then she has the Elk Hotel. But she's supposed to be a Christian, though. Like, what would she be doing at a hotel? You think you honestly think she would be sleeping at a hotel? Why? Why would she be sleeping at a hotel? No, she was there with a man. She was promiscuous sexually, but yet and still she's supposed to be a Christian. And, these are the types of things that's happening in this world that are normalized. This is not normal things. These are not normally supposed to happen. And was she just married to Brian for resources? Was this what this was all about? Because if that's what was the case, she was manipulating him. If she was manipulating for resources, that is witchcraft. That is witchcraft. Sexual manipulation is witchcraft. You're manipulating another man with sex for resources, money, for places to live, for jobs, for opportunities. This is witchcraft. And this is what this OnlyFans generation is about, witchcraft.
Up next is a receipt for one night at the Elk Hotel in Times Square, signed by Lillian. Why on earth would Apollo's father keep this receipt? Was it the night Apollo was conceived? Does it prove some sort of infidelity? We just don't know. Then there's this creepy, fictitious children's book called To the Waters and the Wild, which is a line repeated in a Yeats poem called The Stolen Child. I'm no poem analyst, but...
To the Waters and the Wild. So this is the fairy taking the child away. And what do we see here? The Black Crow. What did the Black Crow represent? Satan. That represents the dark force of Satan. It's a demon. And she's bringing him to the water. Why? This looks like a portal here. It's like a spiral portal. And it looks like these birds are coming out of the portal. Are they coming to take the child into the sea, into his death, into the portal of hell? That's what it looks like. Why is she wearing a black robe? Why does she have wings? Because This is demonic, people. This is demonic.
Check out these lines here. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. It's almost as if these fairies are taking children away to protect them from the harms of the world. And what do we have here on the first page? Quote, a baby is a dream made real, but dreams are the fairies' favorite meal. These quote-unquote fairies want these children. And guess who happens to be missing? A ton of children. Now, this idea of dreams comes up a lot throughout the show. Check out the sign behind Apollo as he waits for Emma's return from Brazil.
Now, this is about sleep deprivation. Now, what happens with sleep deprivation? Sleep deprivation is when you're being tormented by demons that are possessing you. I'm not sure if I was being tormented by demons, but I have experienced sleep deprivation in full. There was a time when I had a job. This was my first marriage. I had a night job at a printing press, and we produced the ink that goes into printers. And it was a night job. I had to watch a machine run all night. So I also owned a barbershop at the time, and the barbershop that I owned, I started in the morning. As soon as I would get off of work, I would get off of work at 7 o'clock. My shift was from 11 to 7. I would get off at 7:30, get to the shop around 8 o'clock, open the shop at 8 o'clock, keep the shop open till around 4, 5, come home, try to get a little bit of sleep, argue with my ex-wife, and then be out to go to work around 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. Because I was trying to get out of arguing with her. Basically, I was not sleeping. I would get to the parking lot of the printing place, and I would get a power nap in or so, and would maybe sleep for maybe an hour, maybe 25 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. But that's all I was basically living off of. And eventually I got to a point where I wasn't sleeping at all. I would just go straight through. And I went like maybe 5 or 6 days without sleeping. When I tell you that it is incredible what happens to your body and your mind when you don't sleep. It is definitely a form of death. You begin to hallucinate. You begin to it's almost like you see things out of the corner of your eyes. Seems like things are behind you when they're not. You think that you're speaking, but you're really thinking. You think that you're thinking, but you're really speaking. You start to get confused. It's crazy. Sleep deprivation is crazy. And they were all going through this. They were in a dreamlike state. That's what sleep deprivation feels like. It feels like everything that's in reality is a real dream. You're not really consciously grasping the things that are going on around you when you're in sleep deprivation. And both of them were going through this. He was going through nightmares, being tormented by nightmares. I think it was because of the witchcraft that she was doing. And I believe that she was possessed by that old hag that she went to El Salvador to go and see. I believe she was possessed by that old hag. I believe that that old hag was a demonic force. I don't think that it was a person at all. I believe that it was a demon that she went to, and I believe that that demon possessed her. And when a demon torments you, first thing that it does is it takes away all peace, and you need peace in order to sleep. Michael Jackson died of drug overdose based on him not sleeping. And he used to go into what he called the Hall of Mirrors. And he would go to this Hall of Mirrors and ask demons to give him the ideas he needed for his hit music and his ideas for his videos and things of that nature. And I believe that these demons had possessed him and he could not sleep. Now, can you imagine if he was going days and weeks without sleeping? He was going crazy. And he already said that he felt like he was the loneliest person alive. He was being tormented heavily. And I think a lot of these musicians and actors and sports players and all of these people, they go to these mediums and they go to, these soothsayers, and they join these Satanist groups, and they're part of Masonry and all these secret societies, and they get possessed and tormented by demons. Torment is part of the whole deal. This is the reason why they start drinking heavily. They start to do drugs heavily. They get suicidal. I mean, you just go back and you go watch and see how bad it is with these celebrities. Their life is not good. But sleep deprivation is part of it. Sleep deprivation is one of the main signs that you can tell that you're dealing with possession.
Follow Your Dream. The inscription by Harper Lee to Truman Capote reads, "Dear Pip, here's to the daddy of our dreams." Apollo experiences several dreams, including his faceless father coming to get him. I also want to bring up this scene where Apollo says goodbye to Emma at the airport. Is it just me, or does it look like she completely vanishes after an extra walks past the screen? Here we see her talking to the gate check-in lady, this guy walks past, and boom, she's gone. Now look at Apollo's reaction. It's almost like, where did she go? It was at this point that I need to take every...
That's true. Like I thought that was a glitch. I thought that was just something that happened in the way they filmed the movie. But when he said that he was looking around for him, that was weird to me.
Everything we see from Apollo's perspective with a grain of salt. He may not be a reliable narrator. Am I going too far here? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And while you're at it, if you're enjoying this video and want to see me cover the rest of the season, be sure to like and subscribe. While visiting South America, Emma found a lagoon the locals warned her not to visit. There we find an elderly woman credited simply as the old washerwoman, but she definitely gives off witch vibes. Her look is also very interesting, encompassing both white and black features. One eye is blue and the other black. Her hair is blonde, but her skin is black. The show deals a lot with interracial marriage and what it means to be biracial, and I couldn't help but think that this was a conscious decision.
Yeah, I think with this biracial aspect of the movie, I believe that has to do with self-hate, because okay, we'll deal with an interracial child. A child that is interracial will follow the line of least resistance, like all energy, and the least resistance will be the white side of that child. So I think that they are playing up this interracial thing to take over us from within. This is their way of birthing us out of existence by making biracial children. According to racism, if I'm being racially, if I'm going through racism as a black person and I'm not going through racism as a white person, what would I rather be? I would rather be a white person. So I believe that, they want interracial children because it's easier to control interracial children than a child that is all black. And, maybe that is, maybe it isn't. It also goes to the duality of black and white. Black and white is back to the duality. It's back to the number 11, or the right and wrong, the two trees of the Garden of Eden, the choice between good and evil. I think this has to do a lot with that. This series is extremely symbolic.
Without having met Emma, this woman somehow knows her name and decides to grant her 3 wishes. These wishes will come true when the red strand tied around her wrist.
This is sorcery. This is what I was explaining what sorcery is. Emma had given in to something other than God. So at that point, that was her God. The old woman was her God. So whatever that old woman said, she gave the old woman all the power over her life and what would happen to her at that point.
breaks. Maybe coincidental, but the bookstore Apollo visits in episode 2 is called Strand, and its color is red. It's also Apollo who ends up cutting the strand, and these wishes seemingly come true. We know from Emma's friend that 2 of these wishes do come true. 1, to find a good husband, and 2, to have a healthy child. But we never find out what this 3rd wish is. All we know is that it has something to do with the look she gave into the camera while posing for her nude photo, a look which Michelle said is both frightening and that of a sorceress. The narrator states to be careful what we wish for, so it seems these wishes come at a price, and Emma certainly pays for it, later killing her child. At the end,
Later killing her child. This is the heavy part of the movie. I think this is another movie this is another thing in the series. You know, I got this thing about children. Yeah, I really do. I got this thing about children. And if you can hurt a child, to me, that is one of the most evil things that you could possibly do. You know, any type of abuse on a child is just the most despicable thing a human being could possibly do. And you know, they dealt with this in this movie years ago. They wouldn't even been able to make this movie, but now black folks won't make a peep. They won't make a peep. I guarantee you, if this would have been any other race of a child that got killed in this movie, it would be an uproar. But because it's a black child, you don't hear a peep.
End of episode 3, Apollo learns that this woman at his support group was seeking help by a group called the Mothers, also known as the Wise Ones. These women promised her that she could get her child back. Like Emma, she had been receiving creepy photos of someone stalking her, photos that would somehow disappear. The term Wise Ones comes from the Richard Buckland book, Wicca for Life, and it's all about witches. The photo we see on the cell phone of witches burning at the stake can also be found in the show's title credits. Members of this group seem to communicate on some sort of message board, and its leader is Cal. When Emma goes to collect the chains she'll use to tie up Apollo, she says it was Cal who sent her. Now, when I think of the name Cal, I usually think of a man. However, since Cal is heavily connected with the Mothers, perhaps even its leader, I'm inclined to believe this is a woman, and Cal may even be...
It's a white woman. That's the thing. It's a white woman. A white woman is telling her to kill her child and her husband and come with them and live without, off the grid, without a man. I don't see any coincidences. It is a white woman telling her to do this. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it.
Be short for Calliope. Now this gets even more interesting because in Greek mythology, Calliope is, get this, the mother of Apollo.
Wow. That's something I learned from watching this, from reacting to this video. That's why I give it to him. It's a great video. I gotta find out who this video is so I can send you to him.
This mean Lillian is this leader? It could be. She never really liked Emma, telling her that her breasts were, quote, wrong, and didn't like how Emma was raising Brian out of the Christian faith. We also know that Lillian...
I don't think that she didn't like Emma. I think she just didn't like that they named him after Brian's supposed father. That's what I think she was upset about. But she was actually trying to help her when she told her that her breasts weren't right. And they weren't. They weren't right for breastfeeding. These are things that are passed down from generation to generation to women on how to breastfeed. You can't just have a child and just think, oh, I'm just going to be able to just do this. No, you have to learn how to do this. You learn from, your elders, and these things are passed down. But in especially in our Black culture, we don't have these things passed down to us anymore. What we have passed down to us is, the culture of capitalism, in which we are sold, infamil, and we are not taught to breastfeed. We are not taught how to have sex. We are not taught how to be in relationships or how to be married. And we just learn these things through movies, and we learn these things through other forms of propaganda and media. And I really believe that this is how they've taught us to be witches. They've taught us, that this is what we're supposed to be doing. And honestly, we got to wage war on this, and we got to snap out of this as a country, not just for Black people, but for everyone in America. We need to snap out of this. We're worried about World War III. We're worried about all this. World War III is the war with Satan against us. It is a war for our souls. That is what it's a war for. We, I'm hearing about mass phone outages and EMTs and all the rest of this fear that we're supposed to have. I remember all of the fear that we had with 9/11 and all of the fear we had with Y2K and all of this fear mongering that we've adapted ourselves to. But the main fear that we should have is our fear of not doing God's will, of God putting his wrath on us as people for doing the wrong things. We need to repent for these things. And if we don't repent, then that is the real World War III. Because when it all boils down to it, we all gotta go. We all gotta, we all gotta see the Most High. He judges us all. And when it comes down to it, which way are you going? What do you feel is going to happen in life after this life of this body? What do you feel will happen? Do you feel that nothing happens? Just all of this was for nothing? Do you feel like you're just gonna lay in a coffin and just be there in your spirit as your body rots? Do you believe that you're gonna go to hell? Do you believe that you're gonna go to heaven? What do you believe? And if you believe, how will you bring that existence into being? That is what I think we should be living for. I think that is what our life is about. I think our life is about our afterlife. But who am I?
Ian has been keeping secrets, so I think there's a whole lot more backstory here that we haven't dug into. The creepy photos are another odd mystery found in the Changeling. At first I thought these were all in Emma's head, but when it's revealed that another woman got them and she was able to print one off before it got deleted, it kind of put that theory to rest. It's clear whoever is taking these photos wants those children, and as of now, the only real entity that we know who wants these kids are fairies. If the show has witches in it, then why not fairies too? Could we be in some sort of conflict between witches and fairies? And are the witches bad, or could they actually be good? As Emma delves further into her mania, she becomes increasingly distant from her husband and child, eventually
again, like I said, distant from her husband and her child. Distant from her husband and her child. Remember when I said what a charismatic witch is? One that it controls with domination, manipulation, and intimidation. And is that what she did to him? Did she dominate him? Did she manipulate him? Did she intimidate him? She did all of those things to the 10th power.
Calling her son not hers and the devil. There's even this homeless guy who yells at her saying, quote, "It's not a baby." It's those same words Emma will utter to Apollo before cracking his skull with a hammer. Overall, it's hard to tell what's real or not in this show. Almost all our characters suffer from some sort of mental illness, and their perspectives can't be taken at face value. With that being said, I'm really curious where this show is headed, and I'll be with you every step of the way this season. Now, I want to hear from you. What did you think of the first 3 episodes of The Changeling? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below.
Okay, so that is The Changeling. I think this is going to be my last installment of The Changeling because, like I said before, I don't the last few parts of the series, I didn't really feel as though they were anything to react on, because it was so confusing. It was so confusing, the rest of the parts of the movie. What I do want to do is I would like to thank you for watching this video today. I will be going more over demonology. I will be going more over Greek mythology. I will delve deep into relationships, and I will also like to touch upon self-improvement and other different discussions that other podcasts may not want to have. I do believe that this is a ministry, and like I said, you guys can really help my ministry by donating to $Tahuti and leaving a comment down about my oil. If you would like for me to send you out a sample of the oil, I will be glad to do so. Just leave a comment down below, and I'll send you out a sample. The only thing I would ask for is for you to let me know how you like it. If you don't like it, let me know that. If you love it, let me know that. And you can maybe send me back your reaction on it. You can send me a video of you using it and how you use it and what it's good for. And I will gladly send you a sample. But thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and leave your comments down below. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pretty long video. This is the last of all of them, and that'll do it. Shalom.